For experiment 2, you are going to be making observations throughout the lab and using new lab techniques in order to fill out the Excel report form. So you will want to start by recording your name and a brief sentence or two purpose as to why you are doing this lab. The very first section that you're going to do is to identify where the safety equipment is. You're going to figure out which quadrant of the lab it's found in and record your thoughts or which quadrant it is in the cell next to it. So figure out where the safety shower is and record the letter for that quadrant on the Excel sheet. You are also going to be looking for 5 different hazards that have been intentionally placed throughout the lab. And record your 5 hazards and the reason why they are a hazard. Please be sure to include the reason so that we know that that you understand why these things are included in the lab. Think back to the safety video when you are looking for these particular hazards. In section 2, you are going to be answering these mathematical equations and placing your answer in the provided box. You will see if you correctly add your answer, it will change from incorrect to correct. Your values will also be recorded for you in scientific notation once you have entered those values. You're asked to include the significant figures, and this you do want to make sure that you're adding a numerical value, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this box. And again, you can check to see if your answer is identified as correct or not. Section 3, you're going to be looking at pipetting. And so you're going to pipette 10 milliliters of water into a beaker and record the masses. You will find the mass by difference. So you want to find the mass of just the water by inputting the formula into the blue cell. So any of the blue cells are formulas that you're doing. The yellow cells are data that you're entering. And again, you want to record as a numerical value the decimal places that should be in your answer. Section 4, you are looking at using the burette to dispense a certain amount of liquid, and you want to put your initial and your final burette reading. Again, you can find the difference of these two values in order to find the volume that you transferred. You are going to include the mass of the empty beaker before you put any water into it, and the mass of that beaker after you've added approximately 25 milliliters of water. So you can find, using a formula, the mass of your 25 milliliters of water. And again, if they are not marked correct after you do your calculation, think about maybe where the errors could be. Section 5, this is going to be reading the volume of the red liquid in the graduated cylinders to the proper number of decimal places. These will need to be manually checked, and so there is no correct that will show up. The number of decimal points will tell you if it's correct or incorrect. Section 6, you're going to be identifying, based on the use of litmus paper, whether solution A is acidic or basic. And please type the word acid or base in the cell for solution A. The same for solution B. Use the litmus paper and the description in your lab manual to determine if these are acidic or basic solutions. Section 7, you're going to record the temperature of boiling water. How many decimal places should be reported off of the thermometer, and then the correction factor. So what you have to add or subtract in order to get to what the boiling point of water should be, which is 100 degrees Celsius. So the correction factor could be positive or negative. And again, because it's blue, make sure you're entering formula into that cell. The conclusion has sentence starters for you so that you can add into the blanks the words or ideas in order to finish these sentences. Think about the data that you've collected. Think about where errors could have potentially happened, because all experiments have errors. You do want to make sure that you record those errors. And then how improvements could be made in the future. So carefully make your observations, enter your data into the Excel sheet, and as always, if you have questions, please ask.